Bombshell report from the New York Times is shaking the White House tonight. New evidence of potential obstruction with accounts that Trump tried to put an ally in charge of the New York probe into hush money payments. The report looks like it was weeks in the making, and it comes on the first week that Bob Mueller's new boss is on the job. Attorney General Bill Barr begins overseeing a probe into the person who, yes, nominated him. And you can see it right there. And the White House wasted no time in dialing up at least some intrigue as an official answered a question about Mueller by noting the White House is taking the lead.
What about Mueller? Where on earth is the Mueller report? 2 years in, where is it?
Well, I mean, that's for obviously now we have Bill Barr in place as Attorney General. They're the ones that are taking the lead from the White House.
Critics say the White House cannot take the lead on a probe of people in the White House. Trump allies say Barr is simply going to oversee Mueller through normal procedures. But another pronouncement from a well-connected Trump ally is causing even more concern. American Conservative Union Chair Matt Schlapp touted Barr's new job by posting this, quote, Mueller will be gone soon. There will be a rather immediate Barr effect on DOJ, FBI, and Mueller. If no evidence of collusion is demonstrated to the AG, then it will come to an end soon. Well, tonight I'll be joined by perspective on all of this by former Watergate prosecutor Jill Wine-Banks. But we begin with the author of that provocative statement, Matt Schlapp. Good evening and thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me on, Ari.
What is this Barr effect you speak of?
I think Bob Mueller and Mr. Barr have worked with each other for decades. They have a high regard for each other. And I think Mr. Mueller realizes that he's got his equal as essentially his manager. And I think one of the things the AG will soon do, because it's his responsibility to do, is get read in to what Mr. Mueller has in terms of the underlying charge of collusion between the Trump campaign and Putin's government. And I think he's going to want to see that information.
When you say Barr effect and Mueller gone soon, though, what are you getting at?
You know Mr. Barr. He's a highly regarded former attorney general, a lawyer of high regard, and he's going to manage this situation effectively. And the bottom line is, special counsel was called because there was a charge of collusion. Now, the Senate Intel Committee has come forward and said there's no evidence of collusion. Some of NBC's own reporters have said the special counsel has talked to over 200 different folks and finds no evidence of collusion.
And the Senate, I booked you on your Mueller comments. The Senate, we all know about that. But you are saying something very provocative. You're saying it on a night that the New York Times is reporting that Donald Trump may have allegedly, illicitly tried to kneecap investigations that are open. And so I'm asking you, when you say Mueller will be gone soon, are you saying that Bill Barr may do something that Trump wants to end the probe? Or are you just saying, and I had you here because I want your views, are you just saying you think there's no collusion and that's all he's going to find?
Take a breath. No one's saying that anyone's going to do anything untoward. We have a special counsel because there's a charge made of Russian collusion with the Trump campaign. If there's no evidence of that collusion, it would be logical for the special counsel's probe to come to an end soon. That's a simple statement. I think you can agree with that statement, that a special counsel that's impaneled for a particular reason, when they find no reason that they should have ever been impaneled, they might come to an end.
So let me press you on that. I take your point that it would be logical if that thing, call it election conspiracy, isn't found, then sooner or later, yes, there'll be a closing of the probe. There'll be the declination and all that, which means you're not charging. But when you say Mueller gone soon because of Barr, you do understand that got people's attention because it sounds like you're saying something's going to change because of Barr. You wouldn't need to mention Barr if Mueller's just done researching.
I believe that one of the things that is not well understood about a special counsel is that they're not extra constitutional. There are too many people that believe that a special counsel is a fourth branch of government who is not reportable to anybody. That is a fallacy. That is constitutionally incorrect.
I think that's
and
fair.
So it makes sense that the Attorney General.
Branch
okay,
in law
I'm not charging you.
Let me play one more thing.
Let me just finish real quick.
Sure.
The Attorney General's job, one of his many jobs, is to have the special counsel read him in on where
Sure.
he is in the underlying charge.
But
it's a
bar
simple
effect,
statement.
look,
and if
hey,
there's no collusion,
Bar
it should
effect
come to an
sounds
end.
a bit like he's going to do something because of Barr. Let me
Nope.
play you on Lou
No,
Dobbs.
what it sounds
Let me
like
play
is
you.
that-
Hold on, I'm going to play Matt to Matt. You should enjoy that. Here's something you
Okay.
said on Lou Dobbs. We also wanted to press
Do you
you
watch
on.
Lou Dobbs?
Take a
Do
look.
You watch Lou Dobbs?
Watch it.
This is
Join
good,
me.
Ari.
Take a look.
This is good.
Why is the establishment in Washington, D.C. not screaming for the arrest of Andrew McCabe?
Look, I'm disgusted by it, and I guess there's only one person who can do something about it, and that's Bill Barr. He's either going to do this or he's not. And I'd be greatly disappointed if he doesn't. And I think
Why
you're
the
right.
hell isn't the Republican Party standing up and demanding his arrest?
Well, I think the reason is because they don't want the controversy of actually taking the deep state on, because they might become
Then
its
they're
next
gutless.
victim.
I wanted to make sure to give you a chance to address that. Can you really stand by that and say, number one, Bill Barr should go demand the arrest of this individual without seeing where the prosecutors and the line investigators find? And number two, people are afraid of talking about the deep state. As you may know, there's a lot of talk about the deep state. People don't seem that afraid. I give you your rebuttal.
Well, okay, so let's just start from the beginning. You have the number 2 person at the FBI who became the acting FBI director, who started a counterintelligence investigation focused on the president of the United States. He then went to the Hill and he briefed Republicans and Democrats on the fact that the FBI was investigating the president of the United States. I think all of that is alarming. I think there should have been a few legislators that raised their hand to say this is not the appropriate role. Then the FBI decided to talk to the Deputy Attorney General to talk about the 25th Amendment. They had a whip count on where different cabinet secretaries were on potentially removing the president of the United States from office. This is a disgusting abuse of power. If there needs to be any investigation,
let me agree with
there should
you.
be an investigation on that.
Let me agree with you. We could do it at the same volume. I think if...
Am I talking too loud?
I think, Matt, if it's proven that they were whip counting, I think that would be outrageous. I don't think it's a crime, though. I don't think you can arrest someone for that. Do you?
No, I do think McCabe has committed great abuses of his power. I don't know what all the statutes say, but I think that we should look at each and every step he took. We have never seen this kind of abuse coming out of the FBI, and there needs to be consequences for this disgusting and corrupt behavior.
I think what I hear you admitting is that it may not be arrestable, as Lou Dobbs said in the leading question. We do watch. But I think you
watch
make...
Lou Dobbs. I think this is awesome. We have made news tonight.
But I think you make a fair point, which is why I like to make sure we get everybody's views in here. You make a fair point that some of those allegations would be disturbing under any presidency, right? If you had agency officials trying to whip count on the 25th, which is not for that purpose. So, Matt...
And Ari, let me make sure one other thing.
I got to get to Jill Wine-Banks real quick.
Mr. McCabe's wife also, you're allowed to have spouses involved in politics. I do too. But to have him lead the investigation on Trump, who had just beaten Clinton, who he had called off the dogs on, I think also raises great questions about the FBI's understanding of what conflicts of interest can look like.
Well, let me close with a left-handed compliment. There are people who might not want to hear what you have to say because of the way it makes them feel. And some of what you said I think was wrong, but I think you are worth hearing from. Mr. Schlapp, thank you.
And I watch your show, believe it or not.
I'm happy to learn it. We'll have you back. I'll see you again. Now, for another perspective, I turn to former Watergate prosecutor Jill Wine-Banks. Your views of both what Mr. Schlapp said and what he didn't say, which was a little bit walking away or walking a different line from the Barr effect announcement.
Well, it's interesting that you were able to push him to get away from that, because it certainly did sound like his original statement was Barr will make a difference just because he's there. And that is a danger that we faced during Watergate, was the sort of fear every day of, would we be fired? Would the president abuse his power in some way? And that's what I'm sure that the whole Mueller team is now worrying about every single day. There are so many things that Mr. Schlapp said that I do not agree with. I don't think that he has made a valid point at all. I think that we have a situation where the prosecution has done a very good job of looking at facts, and facts matter. The counterintelligence investigation was based on information that the FBI had that they had to act on. I also don't think that the Mueller investigation goes away even if they cannot link the president himself to any actions with the Russians, because his campaign clearly was involved with the Russians, and that's enough to keep it within the jurisdiction that he has been set up to have.
And what is, let me ask you, what is your view of the effort to personalize every FBI decision? Because I report on the FBI, they make mistakes like other institutions staffed by humans. But what you heard from Schlapp, and he's an influential Trump ally, is the idea that if McCabe or someone did something once wrong, it calls into question the entire counterintelligence investigation. What's your response to that?
This is the same thing that Donald Trump has been doing since day one, during the campaign, and certainly since he was inaugurated, is he's blaming everybody other than himself. And he does make it personal. He has accused Mueller of having a conflict of interest, which clearly does not exist. He's blaming McCabe because his wife was a Democrat running for office in the state of Virginia, and that he took money from an ally of Hillary Clinton, which had nothing to do with the investigation. And my understanding is that McCabe didn't actually supervise the investigation while she was running for office. I'm not sure about the facts of that. Those are things that we need to know, but it does not create an automatic conflict of interest. As prosecutors, we all look at what the facts are. We don't have an innate bias to do something.
Right.
And from listening to McCabe, he's a pretty credible witness, even despite the fact that the IG found that he had some dissembling in talking about what he had done in terms of allowing people to talk to the press. So even taking that into account, I would say he has presented himself in a very credible way, and that we need to pay attention to what he's saying.
Very interesting. And I think the notion that we have to still reserve judgment about what Bob Mueller finds and what happens within the Barr tenure here. I mean, the quote-unquote Barr effect makes it almost sound illicit, and you had Mr. Schlapp seeming to walk away from that a little bit, but we have to see, with the transparency that he referred to in his hearing and everything else, what we actually get. I think a reminder for all of us, but Jill, we wanted to get your view on his view. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
Hey, I'm Ari Melber from MSNBC. You can see more of our videos right here, or better yet, subscribe to our YouTube channel below. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with us, and we appreciate that.